Hey, people ask me all the time, said, what do you do when you're not fishing? And it's just kind of a day on the farm. We got Thanksgiving coming up. We're getting everything ready. I'll have a bunch of hunters, but the job on the farm changes from day to day. Today I got Brad Seward, my son-in-law, helping me, which is a great thing, and we're just gonna go out and put out some food. But normally I got something going on all the time. I'm either bush hogging the fields, I'm planting, doing all kinds of stuff. I'll show you my food plots, and I'm gonna kind of share my little philosophy on food plots and see what they look like. But we're gonna go put out some food and maybe bait up some places and get ready for my guys coming in. I got grandkids coming from all over to do a little deer hunting on Thanksgiving holiday. So the day-to-day routine on the farm changes from time to time, and it's just chores. You know, in the old days you call them chores. You got lots of chores when you're a one-man band on the farm. I do have Brad helping me today, which is a big deal. So we're not going to be a complete one-man band today. Well, these things are heavy. It's brewer's yeast. It's packed up, made like a block, and well, deer like them pretty good. This tool I got right here is called a ferminator. And this ferminator's got a planter on it, it's got disc hairs on it, it's got a cultipacker. Come on over here and let me show you. Got the farm, this is the tractor I had right here, this little old 35 horse 240 Massey Ferguson. And I came down here and tried to plow with it, and I realized that was a joke. I went back and bought that big John Deere, and then I could make some dust, I could plow. But when I plowed these fields and I planted them, got to have a cultipacker. Well, I didn't even know what a cultipacker was. So I went to Charlotte to Godly Auction Sales, and I told Jimmy Godly, I said, hey, I need a cultipacker. I didn't even tell him I didn't know what one was. So he said, all right, there's a yard full of them, go out there and pick you out one. I said, well, I want you to come show me which one you think's best, because I didn't know what a cultipacker was. So he goes out there and he shows me, and they got a whole bunch of them, maybe 50. And I said, which one you think's the best? And he looked and he said, I believe that one right there. I said, all right, I'll take it. He said, well, no, it's got a tag on it, so it's an auction item. He said, the auction's gonna start in 10 minutes, so it won't be long. He said, what's the number on that card? I don't remember the exact number, but let's just say 63. I said, well, the number on that one's 63. He said, all right. I said, but I don't know nothing about auction. I don't know how to bid. I don't know how to do any of that. He said, well, just hang loose, and when they get to about number 58 or 59, holler at me and I'll come over and I'll help you bid on it. So I said, okay. So when they got to about 58, I went over and I told them, I said, hey, they coming over to my cultipacker, come help me bid on it. So he didn't get there in time, so I'm bidding. And he's walking across the parking lot and he's doing this. I want that cultipacker, so I'm bidding on it. So he gets over there to me, and I said, I'm trying to buy that thing. He said, look here, you done bought it 5 times while I was walking over here. They playing you for a fool, man. You bidding against yourself. I said, well, how do I know that? All that jibber jabber talk. He said, well, just put your hand in your pocket. You done bought that cultipacker. So I probably paid twice what I needed to for it because I was bidding against myself. But I got me a cultipacker, and that is a big deal on planting food plots, is to have a cultipacker. Now, this ferminator, it's all built in one. Come on, boys. Go ahead. That's their go-to. When I say go ahead, they can go. Come here, boys. Hey, this is a famous spot right here. This is the spot where the helicopter landed when I fell out of the tree down there in the woods. Now, they had to come and carry me out of the woods, but this is the famous spot right here where the helicopter landed. And I'm so glad they didn't land in my food plot. That's what made me nervous. If you look at my food plot, I want you to look at this food plot. This is on a hill up in the high ground where we hadn't had a lot of rain. But this food plot is pretty amazing. I got one on that side and one on this side, and this is very poor ground. And this food plot looks amazing. Now I planted this food plot, I did everything. Cultipacking that I talked about earlier, that cultipacker is a big deal. But the biggest deal of all of this is the seed. It's Biologic Green Patch Plus. And this seed is very drought resistant. Man, it grows with very little rain. And I think, for me, it's the best thing you can possibly plant. I have as good looking a food plots as anybody's I've ever seen. This is my 2 worst fields, and we had very little rain. For 5 weeks, they got almost no rain. And look at them, and they've been full of deer. They all snipped off. It's got some clover, it's got some broadleaf oats, it's got some brassicas. I love, the deer love these brassicas. And it's got some wheat, and it's just a blend that works out perfect for my soil. So I plant Biologic Green Patch Plus, and I hear a lot of guys, and I'm gonna give you a tip now. Farmer Hank, old Farmer Hank's gonna give you a tip. I tried and failed over and over. I've been doing this for 40 years. And I just never could get good food plots. And I'd go to the co-ops and I'd buy all kinds of different seeds and I'd experiment. I'd take my soil over to the Clipson Exchange and let them analyze my soil and tell me, of course, I always lime, you need lime, you need lime, you need lime, always needing lime. But they would give me recommendations and I would do this and that. And then I discovered, not being a farmer, not knowing anything about farming, I discovered about seed having germ. A seed's got to have germ to ferment. And I didn't know that ferment's not the right word. The seed's got to have germ in order to, the seed needs to die to grow. But if you have seed that doesn't have good germ, if you don't have fresh seed, then you don't get a good food plot. So I was planting all this stuff and I'd buy it at the co-op and I'd plant it. I didn't know if it was last year's seed or year before last. I didn't know what the germ count was. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I started buying biologic seed, and I talked to Bobby Cole, who works with Biologic. He's one of the guys that has made it so incredibly famous over the years. But I talked to Bobby, and Bobby said, Hank, you gotta have good germ. Our blends is something that we didn't just throw together. It's something we spent a lot of time and money and research. So we've come up with all these different blends for a reason. And I don't care what you do and how you try to mix, you're probably not gonna come up with a better blend than what we have because of all of our research, but you gotta have good germ. Well, I was buying seed, I didn't know anything about that seed. Man, when I buy Biologic, I know I got good germ. They don't let seed sit on the shelf for 2 years. They pick it up, they exchange it out. So when you get Biologic seed, you know you got a good germ. You got a good germ, you do a good bed, do good a little cultipack in that seed, little 777 fertilizer, look at my food plot in the worst place. Now I'm gonna show you some pretty food plots in a little while in the bottoms. But this is a food plot that is absolutely beautiful, and it's in a very hard place to grow. So I'm very proud of these food plots, and I'm gonna give you a little more information on how I plant my food plots. Old Farmer Hank, you need to listen to Farmer Hank, because if it's about fail and error and try again and never give up, then I'm your guy, because I failed so many times, and the lessons I learned the hard way. And I've got my own philosophy, and they differ from everybody else. You'll never read what I'm going to tell you in progressive farming. I promise you, you won't. But I think the proof's in the food plots. Look at them. You can't have a prettier food plot, and this is up on a hill in some very poor ground. So I'm going to give you my secret in just a little bit. But right now, I'm going to help Brad put out some deer food. We had a deer coming up right here. We got a Wise Eye trail camera down there, so we were pretty much knowing what was going on with him. And you have to wait on the right winds and do all that stuff to hunt him. And Brad had been hunting that deer for, He's been hunting for 2 months. And a buddy of mine texted me, I was in Oklahoma hunting, and a buddy texted me and said, hey, one of your trophy deer just got hit. I'm behind the car that hit him. And it was Brad's 10-pointer. Got hit by a car, killed him, and now we don't have a big deer to hunt anymore, so this spot is not as hot as it was about 3 weeks ago. You boys like that monster meal? It's not turn into a monster, you better not eat it. Not turn into a monster, boys. Watch your Thorn, I'm gonna show you something. Come here, Thorn. Sit, stay. Thorn. Woo, bring it here, boy, bring it here. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, good boy. Look at you. You show off, we're gonna show me a little bit how you hit the water. How about that? Always something. I keep my fields, if you look around, you see, man alive, his fields are all grown up. I cut them down and make this place look like a golf course in February. And I do that because the turkeys like to be able to see. But the deer like this CRP, and they feel comfortable with all this broom straw and dog fennel and all this stuff that's grown up. So they like to walk through that, they bed down in it, and it's just better deer habitat. But in the spring of the year, I want it mowed and have it looking like this food plot all over, because that's what the turkeys like, and that's the way they like to breed. They come out in the open and strut, and so I care as much about the turkeys as I do the deer. But the reason it's grown up now, because that's the way the deer like it. But when deer season's over, I'm done with them for a year, and it's about the turkeys. So I'll have it all mowed, and that'll be another job for old Hanky, the old farmer Hank. I'll be on that tractor bush hogging for about a week getting all these fields cut. There you go, buddy. You stay with Diddy. You get to ride and look. Good boy. Sit tight, Jack. What you doing, Thorn? Sit tight, Thorn. Sit tight, buddy. Go ahead. Man, they about ate all that one, hadn't they? It took them a while, but once they got started. My buddy, Keith Kelly, started putting these things out on the farm, and I saw a video of deer eating them, and it's brewer's yeast and some other stuff compact together. And it started out, I'd say that weighs about 10 pounds now. It started out weighing about 200. So we're gonna put a new one out, but I wanted to see what one looked like that the deer ate on. The deer and the raccoons, we got a lot of raccoons. But you try to keep them off the ground, that's what these bricks are for. So Brad, if you'll just back right up here, I'll kick this out of the way. And we'll put the new one out. I don't even think that weighs 10 pounds, but they've ate 150 pounds anyway. Oh. All right, now we'll just turn it over. Look out, buddy. Look out, buddy. All right, let's scoot it back toward the cart. All right, now let's see if we can turn it over. All right, we got to get them underneath it better. Hopefully it didn't fall out. Lift up on it, see if you can lift it up without it coming out. Yeah, that's good there. All right, we need one more. That got it. That's pretty crazy how much of it they ate. There we go. That's perfect there. It is, isn't it? It's uh-huh. Put a little female deer on there. Yeah, we'll put out about a half a bag. I'll tell you what else you can do. I'll throw a bag on my cart and I'll go to the Earnhardt field. Did Hank cut that where you can get through there? I think he cut it where you can get through. So you can just go there and go to the big field. I'm gonna adjust this camera. How long do we make our bow shot? It's still plenty close, isn't it? Yeah, it's still plenty close. All right, Brad, I'm gonna go to the Earnhardt field, and then you can finish up number 8. If you don't mind, you can go to number 11, because this thing's about out of battery. I didn't get it charged. Hang on, boy. Go ahead. It's not holy ground. You know, the Bible talks about holy ground when Moses went to the bush. Take off your shoes, your sandals, you stand on holy ground, but this is special ground. This is the Dale Earnhardt field. Now, if you'd have been here about maybe, say, 2 months ago, there was a line of vehicles in here from Hollywood, California. They're shooting a documentary for A&E, I believe, and Ron Howard, his film crew from California, is shooting the documentary on Earnhardt. So this was the Earnhardt field. There was no stand in this biggest pine tree back here. And so we videoed it, not this current stand, but nobody hunted this field. This was strictly Earnhardt's. He didn't want anybody else hunting it. He'd come down here sometimes after a race on Monday. I wouldn't even know he's here a lot of times. He would come after he got back home on Monday and come and just unwind. He was setting that stand up there in that tree. That thing was about 40 foot high. And he would sit in that stand from daylight to dark. Now you think that rascal was AD, but he'd sit there all day long. And amazing. I wouldn't have believed he could have ever done that, but he did. And this was his field. I'd plant the food plots. I'd do anything he asked me to do. And back in those days, it was not legal to bait. So we didn't put out corn, we didn't have feeders, we didn't do any of that stuff. We just hunted over the food plots. And we let this field grow up. He loved this field being grown up. Don't you bush hog that field, Parker. Parker, don't bush hog it. He had never called me Hank, I don't think, one time in my life. It was Parker, Parker, Parker. Hey, Parker, don't do this. Hey, Parker, don't do that. I got more don't do's than I do do's. But let's put out a little bait. A day on the farm. These are my buddies. Look here. Sit, Thorn. Sit. Look at the camera. Are you a happy doggy? Do you like to work with Diddy on the farm? Put a little monster meal. That'd be enough. Don't y'all think that's enough? All right, let's roll, boys. We got to go. We got to go look at our big green field. Got to check out the bottom. I want to get back in time to shoot my bow. Come on, Thorn. Look at this beautiful field right here. Now this is a field. Now this is bottom ground, unlike the first food plot I showed you. But I'm gonna tell you a secret, and I wanna show you what I'm talking about. All right, I'm gonna tell you what I do. You see all these weeds in this field behind me? That's what this field looked like. It was just covered in weeds, just covered. So what do you do before you plant in a field that's covered in weeds? You spray a herbicide. You spray Roundup. You kill these weeds. You let it set for 2 weeks, then you plow it, and then you plant it. After a period of time, once that poison that kills that grass has dissipated. Let me tell you what I do. I don't do that. I don't spray. I think you get better nutrition. I think you get better growth. And I think you save a ton of money. The most expensive part of my planting was the Roundup. And I had to spray all these fields and take all that time. I said, I'm not doing that anymore. So here's what I do. I come in here and I bush hog this field. Once I bush hog this field, I come in here and I disc harrow. And I put an aggressive set on my disc harrow. So I cut it up. And then I wait about 3 days and I come back and I take all the set out of my disc harrow and I harrow it again. So I got all this old grass chopped up and it's a mess. Well, I let it sit there about a week in the sun to dry out and kill the roots of these weeds. And then I plant. And I try to time my planting around a rain. And that gives my seed time to come up. And that's another advantage of Green Patch Plus. It gives my seed an advantage to come up, and my seed is so thick. I used to tell Bobby Cole at Biologic, why do you put wheat in it, Hank? Wheat is so important to come up first and hold that dirt together for your other seed. It supports one another. Trust me, it's the perfect blend. I trust him. It is the perfect blend. Now, I want to show you the pitfall that my neighbors or my progressive farmer critics would say, well, you're going to have weeds in your food plot. Yep, okay, come over here and look at this. We had a frost. Night before last, we had a frost last week. All right, it's killing this Johnson grass. Did I have some Johnson grass come up? I sure did. But did it hurt my food plot? Look at this. I got brassicas under there, I got clover under there, I got all my oats coming up. It hadn't hurt a thing. And the deer actually like fertilized Johnson grass. They eat it. So does it bother me that I got some weeds in my food plot? No, it doesn't bother me at all. As soon as the frost comes, it's going to kill them. But look, it hadn't hurt. You say, well, your weeds are going to choke out your food plot. Look at my food plot. Did the weeds choke it out? No, it didn't. And let me tell you what else I've done. I'll take a basket, a square basket, it's a foot by a foot. I'll set it down in this food plot. And the deer will eat this food plot down. I'll come and I'll pick up that basket after a week or so, and I'll clip all the grass and put it in a little plastic bag, the same size, the same height as the deer have eaten the food plot down. I'll take a pair of scissors and I'll clip the food plot inside that basket to be the same size as what the deer have eaten, the same height of the food plot. I'll put it in that little bag and I'll weigh it. Then I'll multiply, this is 3.5 acres. I'll multiply how many square feet are in 3.5 acres. And then you can figure on how much food that this food plot will offer. Well, I told Bobby one time at Biologic, I said, I do supplementary feeding. He said, you can't possibly afford to supplementary feed what you can put in a food plot. Well, how do you figure that? Have you ever took those grass clippings, you ever weighed them, you ever done that week after week after week and figured out how many square feet you got in this food plot? You're offering tons and tons and tons of food to the wildlife, and all you've got is the expense of the seed, the diesel fuel, and the fertilizer. You compare that to what you're spending on supplementary feeding, and it'll blow you away. And he's right. It's amazing how many tons of food is in this food plot. And so Farmer Hank is telling you, you don't need to use chemicals. And is that weed hurting anything? Maybe it's not the most beautiful thing you've ever looked at, but no, it has not hurt my food plot. And you know how much money I spent on Roundup? Zero. You know how much better my food plots look since I quit Roundup, since I quit spraying? 10 times better. It's no stress. I believe that Roundup, personally, and I say that, let me back up. I'm not gonna pick on Roundup. Everybody's picked on them. They're innovative, they got great product, they do good things. But I believe the least amount of herbicides we can use, the better off we are. I think it's better nutrition for the deer. I think the food plot has less stress, and I think it's definitely more economical. And I don't have to maintain a sprayer all the time. It's just a whole lot better for me as old Farmer Parker to do it the way I do it. And so you can look at the weeds, it's not the most attractive thing, but has it hurt my food plot? The answer is absolutely no. And I got a beautiful, beautiful food plot. And I'd like to say thank you to Bobby Cole down at Biologic for putting Green Patch Plus together, because it is an awesome blend. That's the shot right there. I'm gonna share something with you that changed things for me. I'm not a great archer. Never been a great archer. Never claimed to be. I kill things, and I'm successful at it, and I really, in spite of myself. But I've always wanted to improve and be a better archer. And Levi Morgan, who is, in my opinion, the world's greatest archer, he has worked so hard with Swacker and tack to get the right veins, the right arrows, the right broadheads. And one of the biggest challenges in getting your arrows set up is getting your insert completely level. And just a little bit of a cock. You know, you sand them and you get it level. Well, these are LRP arrows, long range precision. And the male is on the arrow. The female is the broadhead. The female is the broadhead or the field point. He made these field points. This is all Levi Morgan designed. He made the broadheads and the field points the same length, and he says that makes a big difference in practice, makes a big difference. Now to Levi, a big difference is different than for me. A big difference for Levi in the 10 ring and missing the 10 ring by 1/1000th of an inch is lots of money because he shoots in competition. So he don't want to miss that far. To me, if I'm hitting a tennis ball at 40 yards, I'm tickled to death. Well, he's not. So he told me about these LRP arrows. They're all with tack vanes, and tack vanes are about twice as stiff as any vane you want to field. And that's the problem with these fast arrows. Nobody makes a vane outside of tack that I know of that's stiff enough to stabilize these arrows. That's why Levi won so many events. Now, I think the last 10 or 12 competitive IBO professional archery tournaments, every single winner and most all the top 5 are shooting tack vanes. It's the bomb. And these arrows, you can order them direct from FL Outdoors, and they come, they ask you what bow you're shooting, what length is your draw, what pound is your bow sitting on. They pick the right arrow, and they will fletch these arrows and send them to you, and they're like professional competition arrows. They'll even have the exact weight by grain on every individual arrow. It's just an amazing high performance, long range arrow, and Levi shoots long shots. I don't. So I said, but I'm not going to shoot over 60 yards. That's my range. I shoot at 50. I shoot mostly at 40 and 30. So I don't need to worry about 100 yards. He said, it'll improve your short range. And he calls short range 40 yards. I call short range 10 yards. But it'll improve everything about your shooting from 30 yards on out to 100 yards. I bought them, I ordered them, I got them, I shot them, and it was amazing what it did to my groups. I am so sold on LRP arrows. So I just throw that in at no extra charge. You can do with it what you want. I really am not on a commission sales to sell LRP, but I promise you it was a game changer for me. My stepson Daryl, I told him about them. He was as skeptical or more so than myself. He went ahead and bit the bullet and bought some. Can't believe it, I think he's bought 3 different sets now. So he's completely sold that they're what you need. When I fell out of that tree a couple of weeks ago, it's changed my life. I can't pull my bow like I used to, so I've cut this thing down to about 67 pounds. It was at 73. I'm at about 67 pounds now. I have a hard time pulling it. I don't pull it as smooth as I want to pull it. So I think that with a little more time to heal, I'll be able to pull it a little smoother. But it really, to be honest, it hurts me a little bit to shoot it. So I don't shoot too much, but I just want to shoot it enough to stay in tune. I'm going, like I say, I'm going to Mississippi on a hunt in a couple weeks with my songwriting buddy Tim Owens, who is an awesome guy. He wrote several songs for Brad Paisley. He's wrote songs for lots and lots of people, but he's a great guy. So I'm gonna go hunt with him, and I want to be ready to pull my compound. I'm gonna shoot for that top diamond on the bottom target. I don't have a clue where I hit. I'll try it again. I must have hit high. I don't see it. Bottom target, top diamond. I still don't see it. So I hope I'm not gonna mess up my arrows. Let's go see what I did. Now, Levi would be real disappointed in that. But to me, that's bragging. But now Levi's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I even missed a black. Well, that was 35 yards. And for me, that's probably about where I'm going to be shooting. So all I got to say is dead deer. When you shoot a swacker, you don't need a tracker. Isn't that right, buddy? So now you know what I do when I'm not fishing. A day on the farm. I've had a good time walking you guys around, giving you a little tour. This is my little haven of rest, and I'm very blessed, very blessed. I would have never dreamt as a kid that God would have ever blessed me enough to afford a place of my own, and I try to be a good steward. I try to be a gamekeeper. Toxie Hayes, my buddy down at Mossy Oak, is a big-time gamekeeper, and he's challenged us all to let's leave our property better than we found it. It's not ours. This will belong to somebody else. God's just allowed me to manage it, and it's my goal to leave it better for the next generation, whether it's my kids or my grandkids or some stranger. I want to leave it better than I found it. So my day on the farm, I never stop. I'm always up to something, trying to keep things planted, trying to keep things fed, trying to keep things fertilized, trying to keep things mowed. It's a full-time job, but it's a fun job and I love it. And if I had my choice, I wouldn't have it any other way. Thanks for being with me on Down on the Farm. God bless you. I'll see you next time right here on YouTube, man. Join our YouTube channel, like it, tell people about it, share it, get more people watching. I need your help. But anyway, I'm preaching to the choir. Thanks and God bless you. I'll see you next time.